Okay, so let's talk about the topology of the walls and how you can make things easier for yourself later down the line, especially if you're planning to texture something. So in this case, let's go up here into overlays, turn on wireframe, and we can see that the topology the Blender auto generates for us, it's not optimal, especially not if you, for example, had more windows or doors in the same place. It would probably cause some issues with stretching if you wanted to texture this, right? You could apply all this and start moving the verts around to try and fix it, but there's an easy way to do this early on. So let's go into the modifiers here, hide the solidify modifier, so that we just get the ground plane here. What you want to do is go into edit mode. You want to place an edge loop in between every single door and window, like any hole in the wall, basically. So here in between these windows, and between the door, first window there. Okay, and then we enable solidify again. We can see that these loop cuts we made, they go through the whole wall. Yeah. Let's apply the solidify modifier. The booleans are still here, so the wall is still, we can still edit it quite easily. So what you want to do now is you want to go into edit mode again, and you want to make an edge loop that goes through all of the holes in the wall, like this. And sometimes it might also be nice to have 2 loop cuts. It just depends on the holes that you've made in the wall. I think we can make 2 this time. And let's apply the boolean. Okay. Now we go into edit mode again, and we're in edge mode. Select these 2 edges, for example, and make sure that you have auto merge vertices turned on up here in the top right. That way, when two verts come close, they will merge. So with these, with this edge here, double tap G, and we move this up all the way to the top. Click. That way, these verts will merge. Same here, double tap G, move down. Here, double tap G, move down. Up. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. And you just do this for every hole in the wall. Okay. So that's it. That's a lot cleaner topology. Easily textured later if you want to do it. Okay, so let's place the camera into the scene. Shift A, camera, and we can see here that the camera got placed on the 3D cursor so that it's intersecting now with the reference plane. It should be fine though. In the object properties here, change the type of camera to orthographic, numpad 0 to go into camera view. Then we increase the scale to zoom out to something like this. And the reason we're getting a cutoff like this is because in object mode here, you can see that it's intersecting with the reference. So we just gotta pull it up, GZ. Something like this is probably fine. Numpad 0 again. G to move it. And I think something like this looks good. Okay. If you're still getting a cutoff, it might be because of your start and end here on the camera. So you might want to increase this end number. But in this case, it's fine the way it is. Okay. Go into the object properties here. And let's change rotation to 45 degrees. And on the Z, I'm going to put it to -45. You could put the 45 here as well if you like. It's just depends what view you want to have. I'll put it -45. G to move it again. Then back to the camera options here. Increase the orthographic scale. Just so that the map fits inside the camera. Like that. And I think that's it. Let's check in render view. Okay, looks good. I just wanted to say that in case you don't have the same light that I do, it's probably because in the world settings here, you need to set up an HDRI. By default, I think it would look like this. So what you could do is just set this to a different color for now, or you could click on this little yellow dot here, change it to environment texture, click open, and then you select an HDRI. I'll link a site for HDRIs in the description if you want to do that, but just a solid color is fine as well. Okay, so let's give this wall some materials. Let's start with this outer wall. Go into the material properties here on the right, press new, and this white default material is fine. Just press the plus, new, keep everything default, just make this a bit darker. You might also want to rename these, so white and dark. And then we go into the material properties, solidify here, go into materials, and let's change the rim to 1. And that will give the outer edges here that dark color. And that's because up to down it's 0, then 1, and then 2, and so on if you added more materials. But yeah, so as you can see, this inner wall here doesn't have the same materials. So what we could do is click that inner wall, shift click the outer wall, Control L, and link the materials. Now the inner wall will adopt those same 2 materials. Okay, but because we applied the modifiers here in the last part of this video, we can't do it in the same way. So we're going to have to go into edit mode, select any one of these top faces, Shift G to select similar, and select normal. That will select all the faces pointing upwards on this model. The problem is it might select like these windows, for example, and the bottom of the doors as well. But that's fine. Go into material properties, select dark, assign. And then we could hold left alt and shift. And you select all of these windows and maybe the doors as well. It's up to you. Assign. And that will give these parts that same dark material. Okay. Right, so let's add a floor plane to this. Begin with selecting the outer wall. Let's go into the modifiers and hide the solidify. And then press tab to go into edit mode. Shift Alt and then double click one of the edges to select the whole loop around. And then press F to make a big N-gon here, making up the floor. Change to face select and select the floor. And then press P and separate by selection. So now we have this other plane making up the floor. Okay. Another thing you might want to do is go up here to map and enable the selection for the map again, or the reference, should I say. And go into object properties, visibility, and uncheck renders, and then all of these visibility checks can also be disabled. So now when we go back into the viewport shading, we can see the reference, but in preview mode we won't. Okay. So back here we can select the floor plane and go down here to viewport display with the floor plane selected and change display as to wire for now. This way, whenever you go into the rendered view, you will see the floor, and when you're editing, you'll see the reference instead. Okay, let's enable this solidify again. There we go.